Jump forward, Georgia Tech, big win. This is number 6, Georgia Tech, big win over Duke. Looked to be like a sleeper team towards the beginning, playing them at Duke. They pulled away with Haynes King in the run game. And then, like we talked about, this is one of the teams we have to discuss is Georgia. Georgia finds himself jumping over the top of Georgia Tech after their win versus Ole Miss. This is 2 times this year now where they have trailed a ranked SEC team in what appears to be, or in what appeared to us as a shootout, and were not in control of the lead for most of the game and come out with a victory. And that's impressive. Obviously, looking at the defense, you're comparing an apples to apples with the Tennessee defense, which is why the Tennessee game went the way it did, 41-40 earlier in the year. But looking at Georgia, defensively, they're kind of weak in the secondary, and they get a little pressure up front. But on the flip side, offensively, that is Gunnar Stockton is as cold in the veins as you could get in late game scenarios, which is why I wanted to implement them in the top 5. I mean, they have shown a lot of resiliency in these games where they didn't have control of the lead. So what are your takeaways on Georgia so far this year? They're, I believe, 6-1, maybe have a tough game against Texas coming up defensively, but any takeaways over there?
Yeah, I mean, I think going into the year, them losing Carson Beck, you were kind of wondering after watching Gunnar Stockton in the playoffs last year, like what was next. They look phenomenal on offense. And I got to tell you, the Zachariah Branch, the guy that the Aggies got, and then he walked away and went to Georgia, that dude is electric, and he's fast. I really like their offense. I was very concerned about their defense, but, going into the fourth quarter, like you were saying, Ole Miss was all over them, and it was 35-26 going into the fourth quarter, and you're kind of like, Georgia's about to blow this. They scored 17 points and held Ole Miss to nothing in the last quarter, and that last quarter went punt downs for that was a 3-and-out, and then 5-play downs for Ole Miss.
Football game, I'm guessing.
Yeah. They flipped it around, and I think Georgia is strong. I think the weakness is their secondary. So if you can kind of pick apart that, but you're going to have to figure out how to stop them on offense. But I like them moving forward. I was about to pull up their schedule as well. Yep, they've got to play Florida, who can be kind of sneaky sometimes, but they play Florida, Texas, and then Georgia Tech at the end of the year. So Georgia could easily be in the spot to be back in the SEC championship again.
That's something to keep in mind, too, with Georgia Tech at the end of the year, is Georgia Tech could be undefeated in the ACC, but then acquire their first loss versus a non-conference opponent versus Georgia. And that'll be a good head-to-head kind of outlier to evaluate entering the college football playoff, where both these teams could be 1 or 0 loss teams heading into the final week, and then we get to a really good glimpse on how Georgia Tech would fare with a bigger conference like the SEC. So that's another big one to be concerned with. And I'm not concerned with the Florida game. If College Game Day goes there, I'd be really upset because Florida just fired their head coach. There's not much hope left for them. So I think Georgia will be A-okay until they play Texas, which you just never know what Texas team is going to show up. You just don't. I have an idea of what kind of team would show up. I would say the game would be a 6-7 ball game, but anyway,
it's childish.
Number 3, Alabama. I know that's 6-7. What?